Hi there. In this video, we're going to be looking at expanding a record column inside of Power Query. So to start off with, we are in the expand.xlsx workbook. We are in the record basic sheet, and here's the query that we want to work with, or query in progress. I'm going to click on it. We should get the workbook queries pane. If not, head up to Power Query, click on the show pane button to get all the queries currently inside of your workbook. This is in the query basic. This is the query basic record query. So we're going to right click on it and hit edit. Okay, so in the video before the last video, we had something pretty similar to this, where each one of these rows had a list associated with it, and each list had the values 1 and 2 in it. And when we expanded, each item in the list got its own row in the finished product. Because lists, you could think of, or I should say, oh, this is a typo. Let's rename this. So lists are indeed vertical, and records are horizontal. So the record is horizontal. So when we expand a list, since each one is vertical, it's sort of you could think of the table as ending up taking up more vertical space. Since a record is sort of the same thing as a single row, a table with one row, it is horizontal. So we could think of records as being horizontal. So when we expand a record, we get more horizontal space, right? So let's click on this record to see what's in it. So this record has 3 values in it. The name of the first value is first value, and it's equal to 100. The name of the second value is, well, second value, and it's equal to 222. And the name of the third value is, well, third value, and it's equal to negative 3,000, right? So you can think of inside of each one of these records is like a table with one row in it, right? A table that has like 1, 2, 3 values associated with it. So when we expand, we're going to get the same number of rows, because it's not going to take up any more vertical space, but we're going to get 3 columns, one associated with each named value here inside each record. So I'm going to click on the expand button. It's going to ask, what do I want to expand? Here it's going to ask if I want to use the original column name as prefix. What that means is you can't have a column, 2 columns with the same name. So if there was already a first value column in here, I couldn't expand a first value column out, because then there'd be 2 columns that have the same name. So I can, what this would do is it would name this column, it would be record horizontal dot first value. So we're not going to do that. I generally try and avoid doing that. I want to click on this checkbox, and I'm going to click OK. So now we started right here, right? We had each one of these records that had first, second, and third values in it. And now we've got 3 columns, first value, second value, and third value. And the actual, what they were equal to, has been expanded outward to like horizontally. Okay, so it's almost, in fact, I think it's a little bit easier than a list, although you don't use it as often. But that's what it looks like when you expand a record. So let's go through another example. I'm going to go to File, Discard, and Close. Let's head over to Record Intermediate. Okay, so in this example, this isn't, I wouldn't call this a real-world example, but it's closer to a real-world example. We've got a bunch of transactional data, right, here inside this table. So we have the timestamp for when it occurred, what the date and the time was that this sale occurred, what the product ID number was, what the total sales was, but we don't have any information about what the product name was. So maybe if you work with this data every single day, you happen to know what product 17 is, but I don't, and whoever you're showing this report to may not know and may be upset with having to think about it that way. They want the name of the product and what category it belongs to and what subcategory. Well, luckily we have that information here stored as a record. So let's head into the data, or into the query, and look at it. So we're going to click on it, we're going to right click, we should be in tab Sales Data, right click on it, hit Edit. Okay, so now for each one of these transactions, we've got what we had before. We've also got this record here off to the side, which says for product ID 17. Well, that's the product name T green small, the category beverage, and the subcategory T. So here we've got product ID number 15. We click on that record. Well, that is equal to a muffin lemon, or lemon muffin. That's a food category and in the subcategory of muffin. And if I come down here, this transaction, product ID 4 is equivalent to, or is equal to, the product name T black small, the product category beverage, and the product subcategory T. So if we expand those, what we'll get is for each one of these things, all 3 values here inside of it are going to get turned into 3 columns. So let's click on the expansion button. I'm going to unclick Use Original Column Name as Prefix. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So now, rather than being hidden here inside of a structure, the contents of these records have been expanded out over 3 columns. So now for each row, we have the name, the category, and the subcategory. Notice that we've got the same number of rows, we just now have more columns. Okay? So we're here, right? Name equals T green small, category equals beverage, subcategory equals T. Name equals T green small, category equals beverage, subcategory equals T. Okay, I think that explains it pretty well. I'm gonna go back one step. I'm gonna expand this one more time, and I'm gonna check this use original column name as prefix just so you see what it looks like. I rarely use it, but in case you're curious, here's what it looks like. So now when I click OK, rather than getting name, category, and subcategory, I get product ID info record dot name, product ID info record dot category. Which I don't think is very nice looking, but sometimes you may need that. So that's how that works. Okay, in the next video, we're going to do a closer to real world example that shows you how you can use a record to solve an actual sort of real world problem. All right, well, I do hope that was helpful, and I will see you next video.